New rules making this base a little bit bigger. What advantages do you see with these new rules, not only with the base increased size, but the pitch clock and all the things that have happened? You in favor or no?
Don't get me started on this BS.
Uh-oh.
I haven't been in favor of any of it going back to replay. What do we need replay for? They told us that replay was only going to come into play on a ball that was fair or foul on a home run ball. That was the only thing they were going to use it for. And I was working as an analyst at Fox at that point. Like BS. As soon as you open that can of worms, they're going to use it for everything. And now they do. And it's stupid. You can't take a guy out at second base anymore. You can't take a guy out at home plate anymore. The base is this much bigger because you got some computer geek down in his living room that has to figure out, that's the problem is with the game today is there's too many computer geeks running the game and not baseball players.
Analytics.
Running the game.
Coaching in the NFL, we talk about all the time, these nerdy cats on the sideline, roaming the sideline, wonder why the players don't listen to their ass. It's crazy.
They have guys on major league benches wearing uniforms now, and they're called the quality control coach. What the hell is that? What are we doing? Making widgets? I mean, what? Worry about if there's a little nick in the paint or something? What are we doing? Got guys that never wore a uniform in their life sitting down there with a computer. The game has changed a lot. I mean, I still love the game. There's no question. But like I said, I was a middle infielder a lot. I played second base. I loved the fact that you were going to come and get me on a double play. You know why? Because I had the ball in my hand, and I'm going to throw it right through your freaking forehead. So you better get down when I'm playing second base. You can come and get me. I got hit a bunch of times because sometimes the timing isn't that right. But ask Mike Scioscia if he doesn't like the fact that you can't run over the catcher anymore. He signed up for that shit. That's what he loved. That.
P. Rose. Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Let me ask you something. Big trade. Rafael Devers, top 10 hitter probably in Major League Baseball right now. He $300 million in cap was released with the Red Sox dropping him. We've seen this before though. Mookie Betts getting traded out of there to the Dodgers, MVP style player. Are the Red Sox known for this now? Is this their new niche, or where are we at with this? With what they're doing in Boston, is it addition by subtraction? Was he just a shitbird? They wanted him out. Wasn't a good locker room guy because he hit a home run. They sweep the Yankees and his fucking ass is gone. Is that something you see every day?
Yeah, I think they won 8 out of 10 up to that point. I mean, here's the thing. I'm old school, and I don't think anyone thought I was when I was a broadcaster. They thought I was some crazy dude. But I appreciate the traditions of the game, the way the game is supposed to be played. Rafael Devers he's got a funky swing, but he can hit. I mean, there's no question. He swings kind of like a golf swing more than a baseball swing. He lags behind so far, and then when he whips the bat out in front, the ball just jumps. And he's been a great hitter. But, my prediction was as soon as they gave him the contract that he'd gain a lot of weight and he wouldn't be the player that he was. That kind of came true. I'm still in the opinion that if someone's paying you $360 million or whatever it was, whatever they're paying you, you're still an employee of the team. If they ask you to play first base, you go find a freaking first baseman's glove. If they ask you to DH, that's what you do. Just because you're making more money, that's you're supposed to be the leader on that team. You're supposed to do what the organization asks you to do. That's why he's now wearing a Giants uniform, not because he's not a good player, but because he decided he didn't want to do what they asked him to do. So they said, really? We'll get you out of here. Now, the problem with the Red Sox right now is they're getting rid of everybody. Got rid of Mookie, got rid of Bogarts, got rid of Nathan Eovaldi, got rid of, you look at that 2018 team, everyone's gone. And that was the last time they were any good, really. I mean, I think they made the playoffs in 21. They kind of backed in and got hot a little bit. But this team and the organization has done nothing to make the Red Sox for the last 6 years.
It sounds like you're kind of in agreement with my co-host here, JB, that the player empowerment across not just MLB, but just all of sports is causing like a big problem. Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't know how much a problem it is because they get away with it. Everyone says, today's players are different. You got to treat them differently. And I guess you do. I mean, that's why I could never manage. I'd bench my star player if he didn't hustle. And then I'd get a call from the big club and they'd say, Steve, guess what? You're fired because that guy needs to play every day. Well, when do you teach these guys actually how to play the game the right way and teach them discipline and respect for the game? I'm not old school enough so that, I don't mind the bat flips. I don't mind the celebrations.
Okay.
The game has to evolve. The kids that are playing today do that kind of stuff. And if you don't grow, baseball's kind of dying. Most of the fans are like me. We're old shits that don't, I sound like my father now all the time, but you have to evolve or else people are going to stop watching. And baseball's a tough game to watch if you're not really into the game itself and the way it's played.
Yeah, I think a lot of casual fans, like you go to a baseball game, and I know things I've heard in the past, like the game is too slow, or if you don't understand all the rules with it. But I feel like they have, we talked about the rules earlier, they have done certain things with the pitch count and different things like that to try to speed up the game. I know JB talked about going to like a Dodgers game and waiting in the line to get a Dodger dog. And by the time he gets to his seat, it's the seventh inning and he's missed like almost all of the game. Do you feel like the MLB has done too much in terms of trying to, I guess, catch up to the times and speed up the game and make it more exciting?
Well, a true baseball fan doesn't give a shit how long the game is. And baseball's always been a game. Any sport's a game where, guess what? If you feel like you've been sitting there too long, you can go home if you feel like it,
Right.
But, the pitch clock, I think, is the only thing that I actually like with all the rule changes that they've made. To me, the best, and I would have never said this when I was a hitter, when I was playing, I couldn't hit, but when I was playing, I'd have never said this. But the best way to speed up the game, call more strikes. Make the strike zone under the armpit to the bottom of the knee, call more strikes, and that way you keep the game moving because the hitters come to the plate knowing that they have to swing the bat. Keep the hitter in the box, make the pitcher throw. I like the pitch clock because it does speed up the pitcher. What the hell? What does he have to get the ball, walk all the way around the mound, look up into the crowd, rub his nose? He knows what he's going to throw. He knows the next pitch he's throwing. Get up there and throw it.
No,
he said rub his nose, JB.
I'm with you. Like we saw the player empowerment thing. I'm old school like you with this player empowerment shit. We paid them more money, expect less. We got load management in the NBA. We're making fucking $300-400 million. We got Juan Soto refuses to take a swing, and the manager can't do shit. To your point, he'll be fired if he goes and pulls him out, just because what you said. He said, you're in a slump. I'm going to sit you. And he gets up in his panties in a bunch and won't take a swing. And you just, got that money? Like, you kidding me? $700 million or whatever they gave him, and you won't take a fucking swing? Like, to me, it's a slap in the manager's face. It's a slap in baseball's face. It's same with football and football. Like, it's crazy world we're in, Steve. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, you got to be really careful of the people that you give the big money to. When we talked about the Dodgers before. The Red Sox lost Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is a guy that you give the money to. He's going to show up every day and bust his ass and be an example. Ohtani is the guy you give the money to. I was so far off on Ohtani because I thought, man, if I'm his agent, I walk into the GM's office and I say, guess what? I got your best pitcher. And he wants 10 years, $250 million. And then I walk out the door and I come right back in and I say, guess what? I have your best hitter. And he wants 10 years, $250 million. So I figured 10 years, $500 million. I was so far off by $200 million. And those guys, Dodgers, are so smart. They've made that money back already. Japanese media, the Japanese marketing, everything that's gone on. Plus, Ohtani's so smart. He's only taken $2 million, so he didn't hamstring the organization, so they could continue to be good while he's there. But he's another guy. Whether if there's a black eye there with the whole gambling thing, whether that was true or not, or whatever happened, that's kind of been settled. But that's a guy you give money to, because he's going to show up every day. He's going to be a great example for your organization. You have to be careful who you're throwing the big money at.
One of the funny moments, I guess you call it, or popular moments of your playing career that always gets brought up. I saw someone in our comments brought it up is when your pants had accidentally fell down when I think you slid to base. Can you just share that story of, I guess, what happened, or just that moment for someone like the younger fans in here who are not aware of that moment or that play in your career?
That wasn't me.
That wasn't you?
That didn't happen. No, it never happened.
Someone in the chat said that your pants fell down during the play.
They didn't fall down. I pulled them down.
Oh man, there you go. I knew he wasn't tripping. Here we go.
We were playing in Detroit. I needed a date, man. There wasn't much going on, guys. No, what happened is I was trying to beat out a bunt, and I slid headfirst into first base to try to beat the bunt out. And if there was replay, they would have looked at it and called me out. But they called me safe. And that was part of the reason why I sometimes slid headfirst into first base, because I thought if it was a close play, it made it harder on the umpire and he might call me safe, even though I was out. And I just, they were arguing. Dan Petrie was the pitcher, and he was screaming at the umpire. Cecil Fielder was the first baseman. And they were both yelling at the umpire, I got him out. I beat him there. How can you freaking call him safe? It's so stupid. And I just stood there, and all this dirt's running down the inside of my pants. And let's face it, half the time you slide out. And when you run back to the dugout, you run down the bottom steps, you pull your pants out, get the dirt out. Well, I just forgot standing on first base still.
Hey, Steve, let it hang, brother. Let it hang.
I got a lot of calls that night. Some of them were women.
Hey, imagine social media with phones now. You would have been a viral.
Oh, yeah, it would have been a meme. Would have been everywhere.
You'd be so rich right now off social media phones taking that video of you. Let me ask you something. Give me a take. I got to get your take. Is Wade Boggs a top 10 hitter of all time?
Woo!
Absolutely. Maybe top 3, top 2.
Really?
I mean, who are we looking at? We're looking at Tony Gwynn. We're looking at Wade Boggs.
Pete?
You got this kid Arise now. He's up there hitting. George Brett for a period of time. George Brett almost hit 400 that one year.
Where you put Yaz and like Pete Rose and those type of guys. And do you consider Barry Bonds as a hitter or just a power guy?
Barry, I mean, if we're talking about one guy that I had to bet my life on to go up and get a hit, it would probably be Boggs. The best flat out hitter I ever saw was Bonds. Yastrzemski retired the year before I got to the big leagues, but he was my spring. Here's a stupid thing. In spring training, I had Yaz as my hitting instructor in the morning and Ted Williams as my hitting instructor in the afternoon. What the hell to do? And I was never going to be as good as either one of them. So I just stunk it up for them. But yeah, guys, you could go, there's so many guys on a list.
Ichiro, right? Ichiro probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you forget some of the guys that were fantastic, but when you said hitter, I just thought you meant like a pure hitter.
Yeah, I do. I'm with you on that. That's what I meant. I meant like Wade Boggs, Tony Gwynn, Barry, probably Pete Rose, just hits.
Rod Carew.
Yeah.
To handle a bat that could do anything they wanted. We had a series against the Royals one time where Boggs and George Brett put on the great play of hitting in a 3-game series. It was like they were trying to outduel themselves. I think they both went like 9 for 12 during the series, and Boggs would get up and he'd hit a single to left. So Brett would get up and he'd hit a double to left. So Boggs would get up and he'd hit one off the wall, and then Brett would get up and hit a home run. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I'm playing center field. I don't know what I was doing playing, but I was out there playing center field, and I got to watch it all. But it was, you talk about two great hitters in their prime on a weekend where it literally like was those two guys playing, and that was it.
Oil Can Boyd. Any funny stories?
Love the guy. Love him. Didn't hang out with him, wasn't making any drug runs or anything like that. I mean, this was a different time. Boston cops kind of hung out in front of his house waiting for him to do something wrong. I thought that was wrong. I'll tell you a great story about Oil Can Boyd. He was pitching, and I'll tell you, Oil Can Boyd took the ball every 5th day. It didn't matter if he was hurting, felt good, didn't care, took it, gamer. And if, to me, the best thing anyone can call you is a gamer. And like I said, we weren't boys, we didn't hang out, but to the office one day when he was pitching, John McNamara was the manager, and he asked him, who's playing center field today? And he said, Tony Armas is playing center field. He goes, no. He goes, I want Steve Lyons playing center field. He goes, Tony hit 43 home runs last night. Last year? What are you talking about? You want Lyons? He goes, because I know that motherfucker will run through a wall to catch a ball if I give one up into the gap. He goes, I need the defense. It was one of the greatest compliments that was ever paid to me. Guess who played center field that day? No, it was me. I was going to say Tony Armas, but no, I did. A better joke if Armas played, but no, I
Right.
feel that that was one of the nicest things that anyone ever said, really, about my career and my ability.
Nah, no doubt. I love hearing the old stories, man. And you played on some great team. I watched that team. The Angels were good then. You guys were playing the Angels out here at the old Anaheim Stadium, and I got to go to a couple games. The Red Sox won that, obviously, but I thought it was great baseball back then. Like you said, the point is Florida Marlins or Miami Marlins, whatever they are now, there's 300 people were in the stands. Smitty and I broke down that a couple weeks ago. 300 people at a Major League Baseball game. I don't even know how do you pay in the roster now. I mean, it's all corporate sponsorships. It's taken over along with analytics, right?
Well, the national TV package, the local TV package.
Yeah.
It's video that pays most of the bills these days. Most teams have all their bills paid and are making a profit before they sell one ticket. But it's embarrassing. And, it was probably a stupid move in the first place. I don't know. When you look at the history of that organization, even when they went out and got players and won and tried to win, and they did win, the fans still didn't come out. They showed up for the World Series, great, and then the next year starts and they don't come. So why wouldn't you sell off your high-priced players if no one's going to come and watch them anyway? I might as well make more money. So baseball has to look at that a little more closely as to where they hand out franchises to. How about Portland, Oregon? Maybe I'll make a comeback. Not as a player, but maybe they'll let me.
Okay, I thought you meant as a player. I said, okay.
5 damn years old. I can barely get out of bed, man.
You look good though. You look good.
I've been up
Steve, you're the perfect guy for this. And we do a little segment called Hell Yeah or Hell No. And so you just rip it for us. Hell yeah or hell no. Hell yeah or hell no. Roger Clemens is the most intimidating pitcher ever to take the mound.
Hell yeah.
So here's the names that come to mind: Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson. You'll take Roger. Well,
I would take Randy Johnson only because I hit left-handed and I played in an era when he didn't know where the ball was going. And I have a big nose, but I like where it sits on my face, man. That guy was nasty. I'll tell you what, toughest pitcher I ever faced in my life. The only guy I was afraid of was John Candelaria.
Oh, I love.
Because I hit left-handed, 6'7". And he stepped towards first base and then threw the ball. I swear to God, the ball was coming from their dugout. I couldn't see it. So if you could be intimidated. I faced Nolan Ryan a bunch of times. I think I was like 2 for 20 off of him, and I didn't facing him, but I wasn't afraid. John Candelaria, I was afraid because I didn't know where the ball was coming from. So that makes a big difference. There's very few guys. I think if you ask most major league hitters, hey, Ryan's no day in the park. Roger Clemens, no fun to hit off of. But give me a bat. I'll take my John Candelaria. Holy moly, I didn't want to be there. I was one for 8 Candelaria, my one hit home run. And I only hit 19 home runs.
All right, Steve. Hell yeah or hell no? Bill Buckner between the legs, the worst play in Major League Baseball history.
Oh, God, I have to say, hell yeah. It cost us a World Series, I guess. Remember, though, there was a Game 7. Could have come back in Game 7, but you don't come back in Game 7 after a play like that. And the reason why I hesitate about the answer is because Buckner should be in the Hall of Fame. Buckner was one of my greatest teammates. What a phenomenal guy he was, and what he had to go through to get on the field because of those ankles. And if you remember in his early years when he was with the Dodgers and the Cubs, he could fly. This guy stole bases until he got injured. He's got like 2,800 hits. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? One of the best players that ever played.
Now, shout out a California native, Vallejo, in the house. Hell yeah or hell no? Pete Rose belonged in the Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah. But I'll tell you, do I get to keep answering these questions, or am I just supposed to rip through them?
No, you can answer. You can answer.
Answer them.
Pete Rose, and now it's basically it's an FU to Pete Rose that they made him eligible now, whether they vote him in or not. But it was like, now that he's dead, they're gonna let that happen. That was just another insult to him.
Yeah.
My opinion. Here we go. Here's reasons why I got fired and the reasons why people thought I was too eccentric to be in the booth. The worst thing that ever could happen to Pete Rose while he was living was to get in the Hall of Fame. Because once he got in the Hall of Fame, we would just forget about him like we do most of the guys in the Hall of Fame. It's like, oh, you bring up someone's name. Like, that guy in the Hall of Fame? Oh, yeah, I guess he is. Yeah. Okay, great. It's nice to be in there. But we talked about Pete Rose every year around the Hall of Fame inductions. And he'd go to Cooperstown and sign autographs, and he'd make money doing that stuff. And his name would come up, and everybody would be talking about Pete Rose because he wasn't in. Once he got in, no one's talking about him anymore.
Yeah, no doubt.
Wait a minute. Are you guys saying hell yeah or hell no to that?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah or hell nah. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah. Again, here we go. The steroid era was what it was. It happened. Why have we turned our back on it? What do you put asterisks next to guys' names? It was my opinion, and I'm becoming increasingly wrong about this, but I was saying maybe 10 years ago that in 10 years, all those guys would be in the Hall of Fame because sooner or later someone would wake up and say, that was the era we went through. And I refuse to believe that there was that many guys doing it, but I had my head in the sand because there was many more guys doing it than I believed at the time. And there were a lot of marginal guys doing it. I mean, I should have done it. That way I would have been a stronger, better looking, seeing better horse crap player. But some guys apologize because I can guarantee you right now, there's probably 3, 4, 5, there's probably more than that guys in the Hall of Fame right now that did it, but because their name might not have been associated with it or there was a question about it, does that make it better? The Clemens, Rose, Bonds, Pettit, whoever, Giambi, Pettit apologized, gave him a pass. Giambi sort of apologized, but he didn't apologize. Didn't know what he was apologizing for. Clemens, seriously, my heroes. I never saw anybody work harder than him. Was never convicted of it. Was never said that he did it. Do I think he did it? I love the guy, but yeah, I kind of think he did it. But apologize and some they let you go free. And I think all those guys should be in because it happened. Sorry, it happened. You can't just turn your back and say, oh, this never happened. So we'll just leave Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before. And then I was doing the nightly sport when he hit 73 home runs. And it was unbelievable because he would see 18 pitches. He would see 2 strikes, and he'd hit one of those strikes into the water somewhere. I never saw anybody quicker inside than him. I just, everybody talks about Barry Bonds like he was moody and stuff, man, always treated me like gold. And I loved, talking to him and I made sure I didn't bother him unless I needed to talk to him. I stayed away unless, I was just hanging out with the guy. But when I was broadcasting, if I needed something from him, I went and talked to him and he was cordial about it.
Yep. Never failed a test, JB. Never failed a test. So
yeah. To Steve's point, he was already a Hall of Famer in my opinion. Hell yeah, hell no. The last one, Steve. You might bring this name up again, but Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr., the greatest father-son duo ever to play.
Wow, I've got to think.
Any sport.
Okay, Negroes were brothers, so that doesn't count. The Boones were pretty good, right? I mean, there's a bunch of Bell, but yeah, those 2 guys. And
Buddy Bell. You had Moses and Felipe, no?
Yeah. I played
with Vladimir Guerrero.
Now, JB, are we talking just baseball or are you talking any sport?
Baseball.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Because you got Bobby and Barry, right? So, and you got Bobby and Barry, and you got the Griffeys. I mean, I don't know. You got the Alus, you got the Alomars. There's some.
Bobby and Barry. I think people forget about that. Bobby Bonds is a pretty damn good player, but who's better? He says I'm better. Even my dad knows I'm better. I sat him down for an interview one time. I sat him and Willie Mays down at spring training. I don't know what year it was, maybe 05. And I got I asked both of them on the same day who was the greatest player of their era. Bonds said he was, like we figured he probably would. And I said, why? I said, and I'm looking at all these guys, Griffey, other dudes that were playing at the same time. And he said, because I still run. I still steal bases. And most everybody else, Griffey stopped running. Most of the guys stopped running. And this was a time when he was still running. So he goes, I'm a complete player, play defense. I hit the ball out of the park. I hit for a high average and I run. And so to me, that's the kicker that makes me the best player of my generation. And then I asked Willie Mays if he was the greatest player of his generation. And he said yes as well, which was, if you go out and do interviews like that, you're never going to get the answer that you want. You ask the question, you're hoping for a yes, and everyone hesitates. Well, Griffey was pretty good. Mays was pretty good. There was Ted Williams. Those guys were all pretty good. I don't know, maybe,
Yeah, right.
Yes. And I also asked Bonds if he's better than Mays, which is Godfather. And he says, yes, I am. And he'll tell you that I am too.
Hey, Brett said Barry's the greatest hitter of all time. Ohtani is not even close. Agree to that?
I haven't seen enough of Ohtani yet, but he's pretty damn good. And, the other factor, pitching and, 50. I mean, it wasn't just 50-50. It was like 57-54, peaking up on a 60-60 year. Back in the old days, there are a few guys that, I think Mickey Mantle said, well, if I thought that was a thing, I'd have gone 40-40 every year, whatever. The game was played back. God, it's a great discussion because there's some great duos out there. Bonds, pretty good. Griffey's, it's just so cool to watch those guys play in the same outfield.
Is Aaron Judge and Ohtani in that consideration? Are they going to be in the discussion of the Pete Roses, Barry Bonds, Ichiros, these guys, in your opinion?
I think Judge is going to go down as a tremendous power hitter. I don't know if he'll have the average numbers over time to make him be, because I think if he continues the way he's going, he'll be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know that he'd necessarily be considered one of the greatest hitters of all time. I mean, I love watching him play. I love watching him swing the bat. Of course, I don't know what did he do, strike out 9 times in 3 games against the Red Sox. that was a rough series.
Yeah, the Yankees struggling right now. They haven't scored a run, I don't believe. They're struggling.
Games.
Yeah, Steve, man, we can't thank you. The stories are unbelievable. I love hearing these stories, man. What is that? Tell me what that is.
There's a Hall of Famer right there, El Tiante.
El Tiante, 71-78.
Louis Tiant should be in the Hall of Fame.
Should be too. There's a lot of snubs. It sounds like you think.
You know what he said? He just recently passed away, and I spent a lot of time with him every year down at the Red Sox fantasy camp. And he was adamant about it. He says, and he's been in this country for about 8 billion years, and he still barely speaks English. You can't understand what he says. Everybody, you walk past any chalkboard, it always says pizza, Pizza -CHIT. Pizza chit. Because that's what he calls everybody. Oh, you piece of shit.
Hey, the Cuban word of the day, pizza shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Same after I'm dead. I don't want to go in. If you put me in, I won't accept it. I'll tell my family not to accept it. I've been around for a long time. My numbers haven't changed. I deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. You put me in afterwards, I won't accept it.
Damn. Stand on business. 10 toes down. Last thing I got for you. Hell yeah or hell nah. Steve. Ohtani absolutely fucking knows English. Come in, y'all.
Hell yeah.
Right, I knew it.
All those guys know some English. They just, they're not that comfortable.
I knew it.
Here, he'll be spouting off in English right and left.
Fucking knew it. I knew he made those bets. Anyway, Steve, I love it. I appreciate you, man. Hey, you're great. We'll have to have you on again, man. I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Anytime. Now I got to go back to cleaning my windows.
All right.
Hey, stay safe out here, man. I'll see you at a Dodger game soon, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Be there tonight.
All right, brother. You too.
All right.